Alright, Capcom, this is enough. Cut the crap. Stop screwing with us, okay? I'm sick of it, they're sick of it, everyone's sick of it. Just tell us, where is the Resident Evil 2 remake? So I'm making this video kind of late. I had faith we'd hear some sort of news about this game today, but I'm calling it right now. If you don't know, today, at the time of this recording, that is, the video probably won't go up until tomorrow. Today is officially the 20th anniversary of Resident Evil 2. The game came out back on January 21st, 1998. So, foolishly, I and many others assumed this would be the day. This would be the day to lay it on us. Finally give us some new info about the upcoming remake, along with a gameplay trailer. But now, as it's starting to get pretty late, it's looking like we're going to get no such news. Yeah, what idiots we were, thinking Capcom would do something logical like this. Info on the game has been insanely sparse, almost non-existent since the initial announcement back in 2015, I believe it was. And it's 2018 now, so come on. I don't think expecting something all this time later is asking for very much, honestly. There has been no mention, in fact, of the Resident Evil 2 20th anniversary on any of Capcom's Twitters and that, at least none I've seen. I mean, come on, how does the official Resident Evil Twitter not have any mention that today is the 20th anniversary of Resident Evil 2? It just makes no sense. And that actually sort of leads me to believe perhaps they are doing something. They're just going to be late about it, maybe. Perhaps it actually drops tomorrow again, probably as in today. Maybe you've already seen something before you watch this, in which case there will be a million comments informing me that, oh, there has been news, you're wrong. Because people, still to this day, I don't understand how. They don't understand that this isn't live. These videos aren't live. I'm not communicating with you live. This is recorded beforehand, before it goes on YouTube. So why is this a big deal? Well, for me, I've stated tons of times that Resident Evil is my favorite game series of all time. Many of those games would be on my list of absolute favorite games of all time. Interestingly enough, some of these games are also my most hated games of all time. And not necessarily because they're beyond awful or anything, but, you know, because of what a disappointment they are. You know, if you really love something, a series for instance, when they release a stinker, it probably makes you more mad than just a regular bad game. Personally, I always go back and forth between the Resident Evil 1 remake and RE4 as my #1 favorite in the franchise, and that's part of what makes me so excited for this remake of Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2, the original, is arguably the best out of the original PS1 releases. I think most people tend to say Resident Evil 2 was the best of those original games. However, the remake of the original is one of my favorite games ever. So I mean, and I'm not usually someone to get ahead of myself with these sorts of things, especially when we haven't even seen a second of actual gameplay footage. But in my mind, there is certainly potential for this remake to also become one of my favorite games of all time. Sure, there have been remakes and remasters that have dropped the ball, but Resident Evil 2 is going to provide these guys with such solid groundwork that I will honestly be very surprised if they even manage to screw it up. Not to mention the fact that this is coming off of the heels of Resident Evil 7. Like, if we were getting this remake on the heels of Resident Evil 6, oh boy, I would not be feeling very confident heading into this. Because it was beginning to seem like the folks at Capcom were totally losing sight of what to do with this series. But after getting Resident Evil 7, yeah, I feel much better. Survival horror was injected like right into the neck of the Resident Evil franchise with 7, delivering a fantastic experience, and it was received insanely well by both critics and the gaming masses, hopefully sending the message to Capcom that the more traditional survival horror feel, not necessarily gameplay as a whole, I'm not an advocate for tank controls or anything like that. I'm not that much of a purist. But that feeling of dread, you know, worrying about taking the next corner, that perhaps you won't have the resources to overcome the enemy that waits for you. That's what players want out of this franchise. And obviously, out of all the games, this is the one players are dying to revisit, to experience for the first time all over again in a remade environment. I'd put this right up there with games like Final Fantasy VII that were standouts in the entire history of video games that deserve to get these full remake treatments rebuilt from the ground up for both the old school fans as well as a new generation. We forget there's plenty of players out there who never played these games, have only, you know, maybe seen a little bit of gameplay of them here and there. I mean, even think of, like, if you're a console player, can you even play Resident Evil 2 on an Xbox One or PS4? I don't even know if you can play the original Resident Evil 2. Maybe like the PS Classics thing, maybe you can play it on PS4, I don't know. But there are certainly a lot of people that haven't experienced this game before. And you can see the importance of this title by the passion the gamers have for it. The fans have taken it upon themselves to do both their own remasters as well as full remakes of the game. Yes, we've seen things such as the Resident Evil 2 Reborn, giving Resident Evil 2 a more Resident Evil 4 sort of look and feel. So the yearning for this remake amongst the gaming community is very real. And I guess that's why the absence of new information really irritates me. I'm so desperate to experience this game that I need something, anything, even a screenshot captured from inside the game, for Christ's sakes. That would be better than what we're getting now, at least, right? And we've been waiting for a long time since that initial announcement for something new to surface, and so far, pretty much nothing. And as I stated at the beginning, what day would have been better than the 20th anniversary of the game? So if we don't get something soon, a sort of late anniversary present, if you will, as, I don't know, if you are planning a reveal anytime soon, why wouldn't you get it out for this day? But it is Capcom, so I don't know. They do a lot of things I don't understand, so maybe they could. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on this drawn-out wait for any news on the Resident Evil 2 remake in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.